The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway, LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
Good Sunday evening to you. My name is Russell Mills, and this is Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. It's been an interesting week, and we've got an interesting topic. How soon before you can just head on down to the corner store and grab a bag of chips and a bottle of soda with your Bitcoin? Can you do it now? Well, maybe in some cases, but working on making the interface between Bitcoin and, the real world, that is a process, and we're undergoing that process and so many others. Here, keeping track of all that and talking about how this all works is our host and the namesake of this show, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Russell. It's so good to be back. Last week, we took a little bit of a break, which is needed every once in a while, but I know it's been a minute, but we are back, and we've got not a low-key show, but a high-key show, right? Yeah, we're going to talk about a topic that very few people think about, and yes, it's an evolution happening in real time. It's history in the making. That topic is the evolution of money and the digital age. If fiat money is government money and gold and silver is God's money, then it's safe to say that Bitcoin is maybe the people's money. And it's money by the people, for the people. It's decentralized in nature, limited in supply. And many people have heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but are people really using it as a form of money? I mean, are merchants actually thinking about accepting it for everyday purchases? Well, today we're going to explore this topic and see what's really happening when it comes to merchants and the adoption of Bitcoin. We have the perfect guest to talk about it today, too. And he is with a company that has made a huge splash at the last Bitcoin conference. I'm sure my co-host Eric can have a few words about that. But it's a company that is literally leading the way for merchants and payment solutions. And who is this company? Well, it's none other than IBEX Mercado. But before we dig into the weeds and get all dirty hashing this out, I need to introduce you to a man who knows how to follow the code, the bro code that is, and can show the proof of work when it comes to our friendship. And even though we don't live on the same block, our network of friends have come to consensus, and Eric is a valid and immutable co-host. Eric, welcome back to another episode, my friend. It is so good to be here with you.
Very, very, very much indeed, Matt. I love it. And yes, you're right. When we saw the last go around here in Miami, I think we went across to the little shopping mall for the food court because it was not as crazy, and it wasn't like $85 for a taco like it was on Miami Beach. But there were everybody. They were newly accepting Bitcoin, and so we've talked about it quite a bit in the past about is this a store of value, or are we going to hold on and medium of exchange? So I'm pretty excited about this, and I'll remind our listeners that this will be the last day that you can qualify for this month's Bitcoin giveaway. Thanks to our show sponsor, GetHedge, we've been able to give away $200 worth of Bitcoin. So on segment 2, we're going to be sure to give you guys all those details. Until then, I think it's appropriate to bring on our guest today to talk about the future of Bitcoin and merchants. So on the line with us is Rye Sterling. He is the VP of the North American market for IBEX Mercado, and they are literally leading the way. They're breaking ground when it comes to merchant adoption of Bitcoin. Rye, my brother, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself in your own words and tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got involved in this Bitcoin revolution.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing
Thanks
excellent.
for having me on. Excellent. Well, Thanks for the warm intro. Like you said, I'm Rye Sterling, VP of North America for IBEX Mercado, and we are trying and attempting and hopefully succeeding in leading the merchant adoption of Bitcoin, both in the States and around the world. So I happened to fall into the space. I was a Bitcoiner in the sense that I owned Bitcoin starting in about 2017, but I was a Bitcoiner like many others, where I just had it to, somebody told me to buy some, and I bought some, and I didn't really go further down the rabbit hole until I would say I'm really a newbie as of about 8 months ago, when I came across IBEX and their merchant solution, and I dug a little bit deeper. And it was the first, I guess at the time, I would say crypto, because my ignorance wasn't, didn't have the separation between crypto and Bitcoin. But it was the first, first actual product I had seen within the space. It wasn't just a white paper doing white paper things. It was an actual product in which people could charge an invoice and someone could pay a lightning invoice, which again, instant Bitcoin. So, I came from 8 years in the software, kind of a boring ERP background space. So for me, lightning really just was like another software protocol. So it kind of made sense. And that's how my rabbit hole journey began. And then, as you know, once you start going down, you can't stop.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun journey for sure. But Rye, can you share with us, give us a little bit more about IBEX? What does it necessarily stand for? And you guys are primarily focused on merchants and their adoption, right?
Well, so for IBEX is actually a very sturdy, wild goat. They have IBEX all over the world. You have Mongolian IBEX, Spanish IBEX, a Greek IBEX, but they're known for their, I guess, resilience and their ability to stand on precarious points on mountains and hang in there. So that's where the name IBEX comes from. And then as far as our primary focus, we're actually a Lightning infrastructure company first and foremost. So we provide Lightning infrastructure. We expose our APIs to anyone who's looking to implement Lightning payments or instant Bitcoin payments, if you will, into their ecosystems, whether it be a bank, a wallet, an exchange, a point of sale system, which would be more merchant facing. So that's primary. And then we have so that's kind of our IBEX Hub product. And then we have our IBEX Pay product, and that's the merchant facing solution that a lot of people have seen. So when you went and paid for, your non-$85 tacos in Miami, you were paying at an IBEX, you were paying at an IBEX Pay merchant. And that's our standalone solution. We use that mainly for the marketing and education and the Bitcoin adoption, because, having those Bitcoin accepted ear stickers on the windows of merchants and retailers, tattoo shops, etc. It draws it raises a flag for people who have some Bitcoin and say, oh, I can spend my Bitcoin here. And it's a lot of people don't realize that there is that ability currently. Lightning is so new.
100%. And then, well, we were down there. Obviously, you've got 13,000 people running through, ready to be Bitcoin crazy. I heard a little rumor that you've got around like 85 merchants down in Miami alone to onboard. Is that true?
Yeah, rumors are a vicious thing, but yes, that is that is for the most part true. We have, I think, 160 around the country at this point. Don't quote me exactly on there. And then once we followed up around the Miami area, the adoption rate and then the drop-off rate, we had about 65 post-conference. So that number was there. It's just, one of the things that we did prior to the conference was, we went around and we tried to orange pill as many restaurant owners as possible. And what we found was there were basically three types of restaurant owner, or not restaurant, merchants, right? So it wasn't strictly restaurants, but I'd say about 80% of the clientele were restaurants. And there were three types. You had the guy that was already orange pilled, loves Bitcoin. He has the Bitcoin stickers everywhere, and he's doing, 3 to 5% of his revenue in Bitcoin. Then you have the guy who's heard about Bitcoin. They're interested and they're okay with it, but they're down to learn more, and they're down to put the sticker on their door and see if it draws a crowd. And then you had the guy who, not to single out club owners, but they just wanted to see if it would draw the traffic. They made you come in 3, 4, 5 times to explain it to them, 3 or 4 or 5 times to set up their terminal. And then the Bitcoin conference rolled around and no one used it. So those are the guys that kind of dropped off, the ones that didn't really educate their employees or really put an effort behind the education that also comes with, having a product like this. It's not, you don't just put a sticker on your door and then everyone, as simple as the product is, you have to put some focus behind it for your employees.
Well, Rye, we've got about 1 minute before we got to go to break. I'd love to hear some of the cool stories, or maybe some positive stories of people who have some good testimonies about using Lightning Network and your guys' services. But I just want to remind people, if this is a new topic to you, you're still wrapping your head around it, by all means, you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com. You can set up a consultation. You can watch videos. You can listen to past episodes. There's a lot of resources there for you to start learning and wrapping your head around this. And don't forget, segment 2, we will be letting you know how you can once again qualify to win $200 in Bitcoin, thanks to our awesome sponsors. So stay put. You don't want to miss this episode. I promise. It's going to be fun.
All right, you are listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in one of the few radio programs in the universe dedicated to this topic. You found the right place if you're crypto curious. Stick with us. We'll be right back after a quick timeout. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma on a Sunday evening. Been a little rainy. We were talking about the weather a moment ago here during the break. We're going to have a nice week. No tornadoes, no flooding, no massive heat waves. All good news. Yay. All right, so let's talk about the news in the world of cryptocurrency. And we've got a guy who can fill us in on all that. His name is Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
There's nothing better that gets me excited than sound money and the separation of state and money. And guess what? That's Bitcoin. And we talk about Bitcoin every Sunday. And we try to bring some intelligent individuals who've got a lot to say on the topic because, I really do think that it's 1997 and people are starting to use Netscape. I mean, this is going to be even bigger than that. But to help me unpack all of this and this interview is my co-host, Eric Cooper.
Thank you, Matthew. In the class I teach in the evening, so we were going through the history of the internet, and it's funny because we talk about that very often. Russell brings it up, and I just dig it because, that's my world. But if you want to go back into the past and check out one of our previous episodes, let's see here. We are on episode 58, so we got 56. Kind of missing episode back there, but you can check it out anywhere that you can find your podcast: Spotify, Google, Apple, YouTube, etc. Also, KRMG on demand. Go there, Google Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You can find our content.
That's right. And yes, if you were wondering, if you had this thought in your mind, like, dang, this is pretty on the edge, cutting edge, this show. How do you guys keep this on the radio? How do you keep it going? Well, it's all because of our epic sponsors and their love for Bitcoin as well. They keep us going so we can help spread the mass adoption to a whole new audience. We're basically throwing a wide net. Eric, can you give us give our wonderful sponsor a well-deserved shout out?
Yes, sir. This show and segment's brought to you by our company called Hedge. Do you have a strategy to obtain cryptocurrency on a regular basis? Do you plan to automate your dollar cost averaging? What about getting all or even part of your paycheck in Bitcoin? Hedge is revolutionizing how you get paid. Hedge makes it easy to automatically convert your pay into crypto. Whether you are an employer or an employee, you can get started in 4 easy steps. Start getting paid in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin. Crypto is a long-term play, and you need to start your strategy today. Hedge is here to make it easy to stack them sats month after month. What are you waiting for? Start living your life on the Hedge. Check them out at gethedge.io. Once again, Matthew, gethedge.io.
All right. Well, and if you're wondering how you can qualify for this next round of Bitcoin, yes, we're going to be giving away $200, another $200, and that could be worth, thousands in purchasing power. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. When you're measuring stuff in this dirty fiat, it goes up in value, goes down in value, but overall it's up and to the right over a long period of time. You can go to my website, mattjmoore.com, scroll down to the resource section, and you'll see a button that says Get Hedge. Go ahead and click that, sign up for Hedge, and start having a portion of your paycheck allocated into Bitcoin. And like Eric was saying, it can be little or as much as you want. And last time, we had a lot of people sign up for Hedge, but here's the catch. You got to start using it in order to qualify. So keep that in mind. You can skip This is what's really cool. You can skip the entire exchange process. You don't have to go through an exchange to buy your Bitcoin. It can be directly deposited into a self-custody wallet that you control. And once you sign up and start using Hedge will basically give me a list of emails from those who signed up with my referral link.
And started using
it. That's right, yeah. So, and after today, the 21st of August, I will draw that winner. So this is basically last time you can do it for this round. So go to my website, mattjmoore.com. And like I said, scroll down to the resource section and click that button that says Get Hedge. So
Matthew, let's go ahead and bring back our guest, Rye Sterling. He is with IBEX, and he is leading the way with the transactional, getting people to use a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency transaction system on the Lightning Network. Rye, we are appreciative of you being back on here. And right before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about some of the pros and cons. Do you have any good stories, any great stories that of merchants and successes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite one is, and I'm going to give them a shout out here, Taquiza Taco, South Beach, Miami. They completely went circular economy with Bitcoin. They replaced their MasterCard and Visa accepted here stickers in the door. They started a book club amongst their employees, and they now do 4 to 5% of their revenue in Bitcoin. Which was high even for us. We didn't expect to see revenues that high strictly in Bitcoin. And also, one of the cool things that came from that is he said he's never had lower employee turnover because his employees feel like they care about him. And in an economy with COVID and everything else where it's hard to retain service work, he said it's the best thing he's done for his business. So, showing your employees you care, giving them an alternative, way to save some money and teaching them a little bit more about their financial future has been very impactful for his business. So super proud of having them as a client.
That's awesome.
And then another one that I think hit me out of nowhere, which is really the grassroots of Bitcoin, was beef and Bitcoin. And I have to give a shout out to Texas Slim from the Beef Initiative. And that is basically decentralized beef, decentralized ranching, regenerative ranching, and really doing peer-to-peer beef transactions. I now buy my beef grass-fed from KNC Cattle in Texas for a few dollars a pound less than I buy my grass-fed or my beef at Publix here in Florida. So I can get organic grass-fed ground beef from the Beef Initiative via the Oshi app or directly from the Beef Initiative. And I get it for cheaper than I buy my normal ground beef at Publix. So that's pretty powerful. So didn't expect ranchers to be a big category for us.
Do they send the beef over the Lightning Network, or is that going to go some other way?
Yeah, no, overnight with a freeze pack. So it's still fresh when it gets to you.
Well, there's so much that goes into getting people onboarded. One of the cool things that you guys did in Miami at the Bitcoin conference, and I don't know if you were there or not, but you guys teamed up, I believe, with the Exodus wallet to give away free Bitcoin to anyone who was willing to basically accept it, by using the Lightning Network. I thought it was cool how you guys were basically using Lightning Network and explaining, kind of like to people how to use it. But what was the goal for this? Well, was it, this just to highlight how Lightning Network works? Like, what was your motive there?
Yeah, so 50% of what we do at IBEX, I say, is education, right? We have to educate the populace. We have to educate people on Bitcoin. We have to do that in creative ways. The partnership with Exodus was, one for Exodus to spread user adoption and downloads of their wallet, which they have a Lightning functionality portion of. And then we were running all 107 merchants at the Bitcoin conference to accept Bitcoin payments. And we actually processed just over 2 Bitcoin for the whole conference within the conference center during those 4 days. Wow. And obviously a big piece of that is, people don't turn, you actually be surprised how many people did turn down the $10 free dollars.
Wow.
A lot of those hardcore privacy Bitcoiners did not want to download the Exodus wallet or take their $10 free dollars. But there were a lot of people who did, and in turn turned around and spent that money at the merchants and bought a coffee, bought a beer, etc. And it was great to see.
That's awesome. Do you guys plan to do that maybe in the future at a next conference?
Well, we will be the official payment processor for both Amsterdam and BTC 23 of next year, which we're excited to do. And if we find the correct partner wallet, I haven't spoken to Exodus about this year yet either, but you never know, maybe.
Awesome.
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
we got to go to break. When we come back, we got more great content.
Quick time out to get you caught up on the news. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. The discussion this evening, cryptocurrency meets the corner store. Are merchants adopting wholeheartedly in wholesale fashion? Well, maybe not yet, but some people think it is inevitable. We'll trace the progress of all that for you this evening on Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. And there he is, right there.
Yeah.
Matthew J. Moore. Hey, buddy.
Peekaboo. I'm here.
Scared me. Didn't realize who's I'm making that up.
Well, we're here. We're here to talk about Bitcoin and this whole space in general. Every Sunday. And yes, we may have swallowed that orange pill. We may be believers. You might think we're delusional. That's okay. I'm here to just have a good conversation, and maybe, just maybe, if you start to put the dots together, you'll start seeing the bigger picture. And that's why we bring on wonderful guests every single Sunday. And to help carry on this conversation, once again, is my legendary co-host, Eric Cooper.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And if you've missed the last few segments, we've been chatting with Rye Sterling, and he's the VP. He's a VIP also of North American market for IBEX Mercado. Rye, as the VP for North American market, do you see differences in the merchant adoption of Bitcoin across different countries, or is it pretty much all the same?
Well, my primary focus is obviously U.S., but we started in El Salvador last year, almost exactly a year ago, when they announced that they would be accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. And our company is actually Guatemalan founded. And because we are close proximity, we drove across the border and realized that while the government required everybody to accept Bitcoin payments, there was no way for them to do so. They did not have the ability. So we handed off the task to our incredible CTO, Rafa, and within 2 weeks, he had our MVP version of what we now call IBEX Pay. And we quickly gobbled up the Starbucks and the Subways and all the fast food chains down there to accept merchant payments. And then I was tasked with doing the same in the US. So I've seen the most adoption, actually the quickest adoption happened down in Argentina. We have some ambassadors down there signing places up. Europe's kind of a crazy can of worms because each jurisdiction is regulated differently. So, you have to figure out the laws and the regulations of each country, which makes it a little bit more of a hurdle than you'd like to deal with, especially when you're giving away a free product like IBEX Pay. But so far, it's been less country adoption and more, I guess I would say, individual industry. So like I said earlier, ranchers, go shake your rancher's hand. I never realized that would be such a customer segment for us. But it is. Tattoo shops was another big one because the no chargebacks, which I didn't realize how many people went and got tattoos and then called their credit card company and canceled this permanent indelible ink on their body. So a bunch of things popped up: doctors' offices, dentist offices, places that I would not have expected to accept Bitcoin payments that started doing so.
Well, payments may not be the only thing that you guys do. Can you share with us about the IBEX Digital Wealth Management and maybe who your ideal customer is on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned before, there's really three products. IBEX is IBEX Hub, our infrastructure product, IBEX Pay merchant product, then there's IBEX DWM. And that division works with high to ultra high net worth individuals and family offices. So we really offer, white glove educational services for the Bitcoin space. And then also OTC services where we buy, sell Bitcoin. And I know we know our head of digital wealth management, Rodrigo, he's expanding it to include Bitcoin focused risk management, hedge fund, separately managed accounts as well. And then also estate planning, which no one really thinks about, but you're convinced you orange pill your parents, which I have, and they start buying some Bitcoin. And well, when they pass and go on to the next life, well, what happens with their seed phrases? Who now can access their Bitcoin? How does that work? So estate planning is another big piece, or will be another product offering of our IBEX DWM.
So just out of curiosity, with the market the way it's been kind of rolling here recently, how's that affected things for IBEX? Has it kind of helped or hurt the adoption?
It's actually helped, and the reason I say it is it's been put a large differentiator between, I guess, Bitcoin and crypto. And we're in no way I would say a toxic maxi company, if you will. I know that's been all over Twitter recently, but I would just say that we don't believe that there could never be another horse in the race, where we thrive in healthy competition. But we are a Bitcoin only company, a Bitcoin first company. That's what we do. But one thing that has helped is, I used to have to make the distinction in meetings, and now I'll be in meetings and there'll be, 4 or 5 guys on the other line sitting around the conference room, and someone will be like, oh, we don't want to take, crypto payments. And you'll hear someone else from, the team you're trying to get on Lightning. You'll hear someone else correct their own coworker and say, hey, it's Bitcoin, it's not crypto. And that for me has been very, that's been the last 2 or 3 months. Since this bear market has happened, you start seeing other people correct them. You're not doing as much of the education. You put a lot of education on the front there.
Well, and we know education is a key part of it when it comes to adoption. That's why we do this show. But as far as IBEX goes, do you guys have any big plans coming up for the future? I mean, is there any pivots you're making, or any just kind of you're going to batch it down the hatches and just work real hard in the same direction you guys are going?
The bear market has allowed us to take a step back and really lay the foundation and do more building. We were moving so quick before the conference, which it's good to move quick, but it's also, this is a nice kind of step back reset. On the education front, I wouldn't say we have any change of direction. I would just say we're strengthening each I guess product bucket that we have, and we have something we partnered with Me Premier Bitcoin, or My First Bitcoin, in El Salvador, and we have the first Bitcoin diploma in the world, where we're educating students down there. And, I think we have a total of 200 students, which will graduate by the end of this year, and the goal being 1 million students by end of next year. And that's led by our community manager, Carlinhos, who does a fantastic job. He travels around the world and he opens channels in real life, as he says.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to ask your question on this, and it's a topic that I get asked all the time, and usually my answer revolves around the whole idea of Gresham's law, and everybody's got their own opinions on how mass adoption is going to take place, and how the evolution of Bitcoin going from a collectible to a store of value to a medium of exchange. Everybody's kind of viewing that different, how it plays out and what people should be doing. But what is your take on the store of value narrative versus payments narrative? And eventually, Bitcoin will evolve to be a medium of exchange. But, like I said earlier, some would argue that Bitcoin hasn't completed the store of value stage yet, and that the incentive for Bitcoin to be used in payments is maybe not there just yet. And the key word is yet. For most first world countries, due to the Gresham's law that I mentioned, there seems to be more incentive to spend the devaluing fiat first. But in third world countries, it actually might be a little bit different based off of what they're experiencing. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as what we've seen, and Lightning changes the game, obviously, from store of value to an actual transactable currency. I think in the future, the more these apps that you see pop up, and the ease of use in which it is to spend Bitcoin, be it Cash App or Strike or any of these, where, when I go out and I buy my lunch in Miami, I obviously go to somewhere where I can spend in Bitcoin, and I find out the total of my lunch and I purchase right there on the spot via either Strike or Cash App, and I spend fiat, if you will, even though I'm spending Bitcoin. I'm putting more Bitcoin back into the hands of merchants, etc. But yeah, you're right. The adoption rate here in the U.S., there's still a lot of people that are clinging on to that hodl mentality. I think that will change over time. And obviously, like you said, in third world countries with hugely devaluing currencies, like in Zimbabwe, and you're seeing it all over South America, the need to spend in Bitcoin is a little higher, or I guess the want to do so is there.
Right. So if you had to guess, where are we with the merchant adoption of Bitcoin, and how does it grow going forward?
I would say it grows going forward when the larger corporations and payment processors, get on the Lightning bandwagon and they realize, the lower fees really do make a difference. Right now, you say, the consumer may not see the benefit of it, but the merchants certainly are when they get charged 0.5% to accept Bitcoin payments. It's a lot different than the 2 to 3% that they're paying Visa or MasterCard. It's a significant difference. So the merchants can then go ahead and pass those savings on to the consumer. Yes, there's no longer, you're not getting rewards on your credit card, but I think we're all foolish to think that if you go spend money at a restaurant and you might get rewards back, but you're getting hit with that somewhere. Those 2 to 3% that the merchant's getting charged.
We've hit on Lightning on past shows before, the Lightning Network, and there might be some listeners who are still, they're not knowledgeable on it yet, or maybe this is the first time that they're hearing about it. We've got about roughly 2 minutes before we got to go to break, but can you briefly describe what Lightning Network is, why it's so important for Bitcoin and its evolution?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lightning is essentially layer 2 of Bitcoin. Bitcoin traditionally, as you guys know, has been a hard means for transactional measure. It's you want to buy a cup of coffee, you're not going to hang around the coffee shop for 10 minutes to an hour for that transaction to go through, and you're also not going to spend $1 to $3-4 on fees to buy a $5 cup of coffee. Well, in Miami, it's like an $8 cup of coffee now. But so Lightning changes that. It's pretty much instant Bitcoin. It is instant Bitcoin, and the fees are minuscule. So you're talking, fractions of a cents, depending on the size of the transaction.
Well, and
so instant Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was so cool to see you guys doing that in Miami at the conference. It was a great experience for me. But, with 1 minute left, just real briefly, you guys, and maybe you mentioned this, but have you had some role or involvement in what's going on in El Salvador?
Yeah. So El Salvador was really, we went down there, like I said, last year, right around this time. And we realized there was no merchant solution, even though the government said everybody has to accept Bitcoin payments. Well, how do you do that? So that's when we came up with our IBEX Pay MVP product. We went over there and we started talking to the franchises and the local businesses on the ground. And that's when we onboarded, Starbucks and Subway and Pizza Hut, and et cetera, all the large franchises down there. And the government was giving away $30 of Bitcoin to every citizen who wanted it into their Chivo wallet. So that really spread, I guess, the usage of it. We did see a decline after that. It's kind of like giving away money at the Bitcoin conference, right? People always love free money, and then the retention rate once that free money is done being spent is a little lower.
That does make sense. Give me a little bit of money, I'll spend it. But does that mean I'm an adopter? Yeah. Not necessarily, but adoption's happening. And we're seeing large cities in Miami, I think, is kind of leading the charge there, right? The mayor and a lot of folks. So Miami's in, and apparently Amsterdam's in.
Austin, Nashville,
right?
Are big ones as well.
Absolutely. Definitely spreading. It's I think, inevitable, but we'll see. And we'll be tracking all that for you right here on KRMG with Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Quick time out. Be right back.
Quick time out. Be right back.
Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. Remember, if you ever missed an episode of this, it's been a great show, and we've done darn near 60 of them. So you got a lot of catching up to do, and you can do that at krmg.com or on the KRMG app. Just look for the on-demand section, and the guys will tell you can find those podcasts just about anywhere you can find a podcast, and that includes Apple, iTunes, all kinds of places, right?
That's right. We're all over the map, and we try to make it easy, because learning this space, if you're new to it, can be kind of tricky, difficult, but we want to make that process easier. And somebody who has been with me from the very beginning, And no, he doesn't have my private keys or seed phrase, but he's a good friend of mine. I might trust him if I die. So with that private information,
A hearty endorsement, I guess.
There you go. If you die, I'll take care of your seed phrase. And then you know what I'll also do to commemorate it? I'm going to put every episode on cassette tape and donate it to people.
All right. Well, guys, we are back in the saddle. We're going to finish out the show strong. And the first question we've gotten stored is Rye's been on the line with us. He is the VP of the North American market for IBEX Mercado. It's a company that's leading the way for merchant adoption when it comes to Bitcoin. Rye, what has been, let's start here. I like to ask this with everybody that comes on the show because I think it's always fascinating to find each person's angle. But what is the greatest epiphany you've had when it comes to this space and technology? What really gets you excited?
Well, when it comes to Bitcoiners, I would say the energy that surrounds them and their eagerness to move the needle. And then obviously Bitcoin technology being, very, people laugh about it being antiquated amongst the cryptos. Well, I think we're very much at the beginning, especially with Lightning. And then with Lightning, the biggest epiphany I think I've had is it's not just another way to buy another cup of coffee, even though we reference that, but really the ability to send cross-border, cross-currency micropayments anywhere in the world instantly with no media intermediary is, that's the future of global commerce. So that for me was what really stuck out and caused me to jump from, 8 years of entrepreneurship into an actual company and, see how I could help.
The two people that I look up to the most in the space are Matthew J. Moore and Jack Mallers, and there's a wide gap between the two.
That is a big gap.
Who do you look up to the most in the space? Who should we be watching?
Well, similarly to you, I'm going to have to throw my team into that answer and say,
awesome.
I look up most to my my fellow coworkers and our founders, Jose Limos, the CEO, our CTO, Rafa Cordon. You should definitely check out some of his work, and just the C-suite that I surround myself with every day. We all come from such diverse backgrounds and experiences and demographics. That I'm constantly learning from the people that I work with, and I could not, I really don't think I could find a better team.
All right. Well, we've been talking about Bitcoin, proof of work, and we know all those things are important. I saw that were you climbing mountains recently?
I was. I actually I climbed Mount Rainier out in Seattle last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a great climb.
It was great. He had a photo. He posted, I think it was on Twitter or something like that. It was like proof of work. I'm actually climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
Is that your first one?
That was my first 14,000er,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to end it there too. It's the most technically difficult in the U.S. supposedly. So I'm kind of a one and done kind of guy. I ran a marathon, done running marathons, climbed a 14,000 foot. Those crevasses, enough for me. So hanging up the boots.
You need to do Princeton with me in the future. It's
All right.
that was my first one. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was the big crevasses that unsettled me.
Yeah,
You climb the whole thing in the dark, and on the way down, you're kicking yourself. I walked by all this. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You got no option but to go down.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, we've talked about it a little bit, but the people who are listening to this program, if they're really fascinated about the products and services that you guys offer, maybe they want to learn more about what you do, or maybe follow you personally, where can they find all this information?
Well, you can follow IBEX Pay on Twitter or IBEX Mercado, MERCADO, or myself personally, it's Sterling_Rye, RY, so Sterling_RY. And then if you guys want a little teaser, not going to tell you about it yet, but you'll hear more about it during Amsterdam. You can follow the LN Poppy at the LN Poppy. And we're going to be doing a big announcement during Amsterdam for that. But that's it. IBEX Pay or IBEX Mercado. You can find us. And any merchant out there who wants to start accepting instant Bitcoin payments, it's free to sign up, and we charge lower fees by about a fifth of Visa and your traditional card rails. And that's ibexpay.ibexmercado.com. And all you need is an email to sign up, and you can start onboarding or you can start accepting Bitcoin payments at your business.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're listening to this show, I hope you'll join us next week for some more awesome content.
Right. Thank you very much. IBEX Mercado is the company. By the way, I didn't tell you guys. Got an interview set up with Dennis Porter this week with Satoshi Action Plan. So be listening to that for that, KRMG listeners, because, yeah, this is happening. Are you ready for the Bitcoin revolution? If you're listening to this show, you will be. Hey, thanks for joining us. Be here next Sunday for more Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG.